Harp on Sports, the Bar, podcast, media, audio, and radio network. What do we have in store for you on this edition of the program? Some Super Bowl bookends. 4 years ago, Chiefs Niners. Now, as the Chiefs get ready to officially put their claim in that they're a dynasty, can continue it with the 49ers. It's interesting because the Niners did the same thing with the Bengals, didn't they? Montana's third title was against the Bengals. His fourth one was against the Broncos. So Patrick Mahomes' first title can be against the Niners. His third title can be against the Niners. So a little fun snippet, if you will. Andy Reid going for his third Super Bowl. So many storylines when it comes to what it means for the Niners as they try to tie the Patriots and Steelers with 6 Super Bowls. So interesting bookends. So we're going to dive into that. Also, a little, shall we call it what? Coordinator courting, if you will, as the Dolphins and the Bucs try to land new offensive and defensive coordinators. And I like what I see. What both of them are doing is very wise, very smart. What both of them are doing here is the intelligent move on all aspects of it. And any of the 4 guys that they're currently talking to, smart hires, as they each try to take that next step. The Bucs try to take that next step, and one of the guys they're talking to, I love it. And if the Dolphins, I know who I would like to hire if I were both of them, but we'll see. We'll see what they end up doing, so we're going to look at that as well. And also, Gator basketball, 3 in a row, above 500 in the SEC for the first time this year. What to expect as we start to look ahead to the month of February. So Harp on Sports, the Bar, podcast, media, audio, radio network. Follow, share, like, subscribe at Harp on Sports Twitter, at Harp on Sports Instagram, Harp on Sports auditory route, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Harp on Sports Facebook page, Harp on Sports YouTube channel, and of course, harponsports.com under the bar heading Super Bowl 58. Wow. And, so many different storylines are going to pop up. These two meet again. Is it the Niners' revenge? The Niners trying to track down the Patriots and the Steelers for the 6th Super Bowl club. Meanwhile, the 5th Super Bowl club features who? The Cowboys and the Niners right now. The party of 4, Packers and the Giants. So the Chiefs trying to join the party of 4. And the Niners try to join the party of 6. So there's where we are, team-wise, organization-wise. Chiefs tried to become a dynasty. 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. Puts them in Dallas Cowboys 90s range. The Niners, 4 in the 80s, and each decade has theirs, right? The Packers in the 60s, Steelers in the 70s, Niners in the 80s, Cowboys in the 90s. I guess you'd call the Patriots the aughts and the teens, since they won 3 in each of them. But they're their dynasty, and the Chiefs are trying to become the dynasty of the 20s. That's what they're doing here. And the Niners are favored, and I get why. Usually you get to this stage, the team with a better quarterback wins. There's no doubt the Niners have more weapons than the Chiefs do. The Chiefs' defense has been remarkable. Chiefs' defense allowed 10 points last 5 quarters. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. The last 5 quarters for Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, 10 points. That's why the Chiefs are here. You can point to Mahomes and Chiefs are here because the last 5 quarters against Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, Chiefs defense has given up 10 points. Through all these things, to me, the fascinating focus will be Mahomes, Andy Reid, all these things. But what's interesting is the rarefied air that Travis Kelce finds himself in now. It's his postseason. It's been his postseason. That dude is 3 touchdowns away from Jerry Rice's all-time postseason mark, 22. What's amazing about this is Travis Kelce's done all this work over the age of 29. Most of it over the age of 29. The Chiefs won 2 playoff games? Travis's first 7 years in the league? They've won 3 the last 2 weeks. So he's got 19. Jerry Rice has 22. This is all time. 2,245 career postseason receiving yards for Jerry Rice. 1,694. for Travis Kelce. So Travis Kelce is what? 551 yards away from Jerry Rice. And you may sit there and say, well, he's not going to get it this year. Of course he's not. But with 75-yard Super Bowl and a touchdown, if Travis Kelce gives you a 75-yard, 1-touchdown Super Bowl, it means he's 2 behind Jerry Rice, and he's what? 475 away all time? Travis Kelce is 2 postseasons away from tracking down Jerry Rice. Actually, Travis Kelce is 2 postseasons away from tracking down Jerry Rice's all-time yardage mark. And he's really 1 postseason away. 1 gigantic Super Bowl away from tying him. It's pretty remarkable. Jerry played forever, too. Jerry played for 20 years. Jerry played for 20 years in the NFL. Jerry retired when he was 41, right? So 19 years. Travis has only played for 12. Jerry had Steve Young, Joe Montana, Rich Gannon, and MVP year. Travis had Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes. Pretty impressive stuff from Travis Kelce. So 2 more postseasons. You can sit there and say, well, they play more postseason games now. No, they don't. Niners were always hosting. Chiefs are always hosting. Travis Kelce, what he's done is on the Jerry Rice level in the postseason. He's on Jerry Rice's level. Can't believe I'm saying that out loud, but he is. So you ask about Travis Kelce trying to track down Tony Gonzalez's yardage mark, greatest tight end of all time. He has a chance to track down Jerry Rice. That's why he's not going to retire. Why would he retire? Like, you talk of Andy Reid, he'll retire. Why? Why would Andy Reid want to retire? Go out on top, or I could keep winning. What do you want? I always find it fascinating when people are in their prime and you want him to hang it up. He needs to retire. Why? Why? If you don't want to play anymore, don't want to coach anymore, those things are fine. But Travis Kelce has a chance to be the greatest postseason receiver, pass catcher of all time. He's actually, if you look at it sensibly, next year in the postseason, he'll tie Jerry Rice or pass him in terms of touchdowns. In the following postseason, he'll pass him in yardage. Travis Kelce is about 5 postseason games away from catching Jerry Rice in terms of yardage. Probably 3 postseason games away from catching him in touchdowns. He just gets 1 a game. So I love it. Those are your storylines, at least as I look at it. And from the Chiefs' perspective, from the Niners' perspective, what Brock Purdy's done, Christian McCaffrey trying to cement his stage in the postseason on the big stage. Hey, about my Super Bowl consideration. The Niners, Kyle Shanahan. There's just a lot. The Niners have been the best team, with the exception of the hiccup against Baltimore the last 2 or 3 months. And the Chiefs are defending their Super Bowl title. And this was the year you're supposed to catch the Chiefs. Think about it. Chiefs win the Super Bowl. Next year, blow it against the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. Have to trade Tyreek Hill away. Last year was supposed to be a rebuilding year. They win the Super Bowl. This year, the offense can't do anything right. One-dimensional. And in the postseason here, they lose their all-pro. Their only member on their offense is all-pro. Tooney at left guard. He's out. He misses the AFC Championship game. They still win. Because Chris Jones is on the cusp of becoming a Hall of Famer too. So, there's so many different matchups that I look at going into the Super Bowl. And what are they? Well, the ability of the Chiefs to block up front of the Niners. And look, if the Chiefs got to Lamar Jackson, they're going to get to Brock Purdy. And Brock Purdy has played brutal in the first half of the first 2 postseason games. He lays an egg in the first half against the Chiefs. It's not going to matter what he does in the fourth quarter in 2 weeks. But there you go. Lions, Chiefs. I think the Lions and Ravens would have been just, okay, here they are. But you got a dynasty in the making. Kansas City Chiefs. Here we go. Niners. It'll be interesting to see, with a third, Mahomes, Mahomes, Brady. That's not the debate. The debate right now is Mahomes, Aikman. The debate right now is Mahomes and Troy Aikman And with a win, then you can begin the Mahomes Joe Montana debate. You're not even close to Brady yet. You're not even close. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous debate. So, there you go. My thing more interesting is Travis Kelce tracking down Jerry Rice. Yeah. I write all these things down of, Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs defensive coordinator, Matt Nagy, their offensive coordinator, both former head coaches in the NFL. Spagnuolo looking to win his 4th Super Bowl. Won one with the Giants as defensive coordinator, trying to rack another one up here. Did he win 2 as defensive coordinator with the Giants? Just monstrous. The career he's had as defensive coordinator. Spag shows you that some guys are great coordinators, not great head coaches. He wasn't very successful as a head coach with the Rams. He's in his wheelhouse like Wade Phillips. More successful as a coordinator. Romeo Crennel, more successful as a coordinator. Some guys are just those guys. Josh McDaniels. So there you go. Niners 1.5-point favorite. It's funny because the Chiefs Super Bowls that they've won, they've been the underdogs. Correct? The one they were the favorite in against the Bucs, when they got beat. There you go. All right, a little coordinator cruising for coordinators. The Dolphins looking to replace Vic Fangio, and the Dolphins find themselves in an interesting position, as they try to get a long-term deal with with Tua Tagovailoa done. This was a team that was the 2 seed all the way up until the final week of the year, and fell apart on them. Injuries got him. Vic Fangio leaves. Need to get a guy in there that's cerebral, and they're talking about Bills linebacking coach Bobby Babich. That's a good hire. If they end up going with Bobby Babich, that's a good hire. Brandon Staley, yeah, not a great head coach, but Brandon Staley is a fantastic coordinator. That'd be a great hire. Both those guys did a good job. Now, I'm a big proponent of, strengthening yourself by weakening your opponent and bringing Bobby Babich in. He's gone against Josh Allen the last few years. That kind of makes sense. Brandon Staley, good coordinator, just not a very good head coach. That happens. Matt Nagy, Steve Spagnuolo. There's a reason I mentioned them in the previous segment. Steve Spagnuolo, not a great head coach. Matt Nagy, not a great head coach. Fantastic coordinators. Brandon Staley, fantastic coordinator. He's a stud in Baltimore. It's a good coordinator. So, looking at it, both of those guys would be extremely solid. A guy I'd like also see the Dolphins kick the tires on, Dave Merritt. He's the Chiefs secondary coach. He's looking to win his 4th Super Bowl. His 4th Super Bowl as a secondary coach. Somebody going to give him a defensive coordinator job? They may not want one. But that Chiefs secondary is just what they did to the Ravens receivers. Just what they did against the Bills in the 4th quarter. The schemes that they come up with. So that's a guy that if I were the Dolphins, I'd be kicking the tires on too. Whether it's Babich, Staley, it's probably going to be one of those two. But Dave Merritt's another guy that I would consider. Looking at it from the Bucs perspective, look, the guys that the Bucs are talking to, I think both these positions are solid positions. The Bucs, Jake Peetz, who's the Rams passing game coordinator. I mean, the job that Matt Stafford did, the development of Nakua, the wide receiver, the job that they did, it's strong. Now, passing game coordinators are coming in to become offensive coordinators. It's a little bit different beast. But you look what you have Mike Evans, what you have with Godwin, what you have with Baker Mayfield. You bring them all back. That's good. The guy that I'd like to see the Bucs hire. Now, look, Jake Peetz is fine. But Jared Johnson, quarterback's coach for the Texans. Look, you take a rookie and put up the numbers that C.J. Stroud did, and you're the quarterback's coach. I get him and Baker Mayfield together. Now, he's also interviewing for the Saints offensive coordinator job and the Steelers offensive coordinator job. If I were him and I'm looking around, I'm like, wait a second, I go to Pittsburgh where I got a disaster on my hands. I got Pickett. I guess I could try to resurrect that. I got Mason Rudolph, Trubisky. I can go to New Orleans where I've got Carr, I guess. I go to Tampa where if I can get Mike Evans and Baker to come back, I've got and Godwin, I've got a trinity there. Got a decent running game. Now, Todd Bowles is the head coach. I get it, but I can slide in here and, I inherited a team that's won the Division 3 straight years. So Jared Johnson, to me would seem to be the young, energetic next wave pick. But Jake Pete's a good idea too. So I like what the Bucs and the Dolphins are both thinking when it comes to the coordinator positions. I like what they're both thinking. Both straightforward, thinking forward down the road with those hires. And sometimes hiring a guy that was a head coach, it didn't work with the Chiefs. Smart decisions. Smart. So we'll see what happens in both of those cases. I know that the Jags are looking to make some replacements too. You know, head coaches. What, DC's still looking for a head coach? What, is Seattle still? So there's other head coaches that are still out there that coordinators may get plucked away. And I don't know if anybody else is going to get fired here. Probably not. Both these teams are in pretty good position by what they're talking to here. Dolphins made the postseason, almost won the division. Bucs exceeded expectations, played the Lions tough. Both teams, you're not hearing people that they're bringing in that you're like, what are you doing here? Or who's that? All four of these guys, solid. I wanted to wrap, talk a little Gators basketball. And I think at this point, if you have an honest conversation with yourself, Gator basketball this year should be brought to you by Bubbalicious. They're the definition of a bubble team. The definition of one. But they're on pace to win 20 games. They're 4-3 in the conference. They beat the 4 teams they should have beaten to. Lost to the 3 teams they've been an underdog to. Lost at home to Kentucky. That's a top 10 team. Lost on the road to Tennessee, a top 10 team. And they're getting ready to play Kentucky again this week. So if you look at the 4 heavy hitter games on the schedule, 3 of them are going to be in their rearview mirror before we even hit February. 2 against Kentucky, one against Tennessee. 3 of them are going to be in the rearview mirror. 2 of them on the road. So in their first 8 games, the Gators are going to play their 2 toughest road games all year in the conference. Probably going to be 4-4. But Todd Golden, this is a bubble team. They just are. And to get off the bubble, they'd have to win 2 of their next 3. One of their next 3, they're going to be right on the bubble. They lose to Kentucky at home, beat A&M on the road, lose to Auburn at home, lose to Kentucky, at Kentucky, beat A&M on the road, lose to Auburn at home, bubble. Beat Kentucky at home, lose the next 2, bubble. They win the next 2, probably not on the bubble, probably would be in the tournament at that point. Lose the next 3, they'd be off the bubble. It's where this team is. They are a bubble team. They've picked the low-hanging fruit in their 3-game winning streak. Missouri, Mississippi State, Georgia beat the teams they should have beaten. Now they take on 3 straight teams where they're going to be underdogs this week at Kentucky, at A&M. Boy, if they can win one of those 2, if they could lose to Kentucky and beat A&M, and now they're coming home at 5-4 in the conference with a chance to beat Auburn, there's where you start to make some strides. They're going to have to start winning some road games here. They can afford to lose these next 2 road games. If they beat Auburn at home, then they're sitting there 5-5 in the conference, halfway through with 3 of their 4 toughest games in the rearview mirror. Actually, with the Auburn game in there, if they somehow can beat Auburn or A&M, if they can win one of their next 3 games, they'll be 5-5 in the conference with 4 of their 5 toughest games in the rearview mirror. Auburn at home, 2 games against Kentucky, 1 game against Tennessee. They got another game against Tennessee later in the year at home. They're in good shape right now. Can be in better shape with a win over Kentucky, but they are a bubble team. First 4 out, last 4 in, that's where they're going to be until they start picking off some big guys. If they pick off Kentucky, they're a tournament team. If they don't, boom, 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 backside of the bubble. 4 of their next 6 are on the road. And I look at this team. The one thing they got going for them against Kentucky here in the middle of the week is Kentucky has to host Tennessee on Saturday. Maybe you can catch Kentucky napping. Maybe. But this is who they are. This team is a 7, 8, 9, or 10 seed at best. At best. Because you have to look at it from this perspective, right? You got another game with Vandy coming up, who's not any good. You've got low-hanging fruit out there. South Carolina. You've got games that are winnable games, especially when you get into the mid stages of February. So what do you do here? Win one of the next three. They win one of the next three, they're going to be in prime position to make the tournament. Bubbalicious. Bubbalicious is who they are. Well, they need to become, I know they need to become those things, but they're not there yet. Todd Golden, gradual progress last year. Oh my gosh. One and done, right? NIT, not much action. This year, what are they? No, not barring any injury. If they continue to make improvement, if I had to guess, I'd guess they'd lose to Kentucky, they'd lose to A&M, and they'd beat Auburn at home. They'd be 500 in the conference, halfway through the sucker, and then look around and go, all right, we're halfway through this thing. We're 5-5. 4 of our 5 toughest games are in the rearview mirror. If we can go 7-3 against some of this low-hanging fruit here in the second half, get to 12-8, then, we win a game in the SEC tournament, we're probably going to make the tournament. That's where they are. We talked about this a couple weeks ago where it's like, oh my God, they're bad. They're it's amazing how this works. They're 1-3 in the conference. Oh my God, must win here. No. Like to beat Kentucky? Don't need to beat Kentucky. You like to beat A&M? Don't need to beat A&M. Like to beat Auburn? Probably would need to beat Auburn at that point. They win one of the next 3. They're in the middle of the bubble. They win 2 of the next 3, they're in. They lose all 3, they'll be out. Need to work their way back on the bubble. Just where we are. But this team is right where they should be given their talent and their progression. Sometimes you just are. Your target weight, you just are. Right where I should be. Tie game in the 4th, or right where we should be. Harp on Sports, the Bar, podcast, media, audio, radio network. Follow, share, like, subscribe. We'll get into, more Super Bowl stuff as the week progresses. Hirings, firings, all those things. I went back through and looked at my Super Bowl predictions at the beginning of the year. Ooh, baby. I had the Bills beating the Chiefs. Didn't quite get there. And in the NFC, what did I have? I had the Cowboys. I know. I had the Cowboys beating the Eagles. So close, but yet so far. I think I had the MVP. Defensive MVP, I had Micah Parsons. The NFL MVP overall, you kind of didn't get that one right either. I had Dak Prescott there. So my predictions didn't exactly go to Hoyle, but I'm in dynasty mode. Harp on Sports, the Bar, podcast, media, audio, radio network. Follow, share, like, subscribe. At Harp on Sports Twitter, at Harp on Sports Instagram. Harp on Sports auditory route, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcast under Harp on Sports, the Bar. Harp on Sports Facebook page. Harp on Sports, the Bar, the YouTube channel, and of course, harponsports.com. Remember, stay clean, stay focused, stay strong. Frankenstein. Have fun with your friends.